What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Green Teamers podcast. As always, it's your hosts. You got Ernie, you got my boy Marvelous Marvin.
That's who I am.
And as always, we're here to recap the Celtics, talk about the upcoming games about the Celtics, and just chop it up about the NBA, what the news around the NBA is, and what's going on in today's NBA.
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, guys, as always, we're going to start with the recap. This past week, we had 5 games. I think if you watched our last episode, we only mentioned 4 games, but we're filming on a Saturday versus a Thursday, so we had one extra game, and that was against the Memphis Grizzlies, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But just to recap, we played the Brooklyn Nets, the Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, Atlanta Hawks, and the Memphis Grizzlies.
So our last week on the podcast, we predicted a 3-0 sweep.
4-0.
4-0 sweep. We ended up 3-1. Would have been 4-1 if we included the Memphis game. I thought we were going to beat Memphis anyways, which is great. We're riding high. We've won 15 of the last 18 games, which has catapulted us into the 5th seed, I believe, if not the 4th seed at the moment.
Let me take an actual look. At the moment, we are the outright 5th seed, and only 2.5 out of the 2nd seed. So, as always, still a very close race.
And I think we're only a game back in the loss column in terms of moving up ahead of Milwaukee in the 4th seed.
Well, I think the thing is, compared to all the other teams like Miami, Philadelphia, we've already played about 3 games more than them.
Okay, so they still have a...
Yeah, so unfortunately, if they went 3-0, we'd be a little bit more than just 2 games out.
Yeah, that would push it up. I get that.
But
still
nothing to panic about. We've been, like you said, winning the last 15 out of the last 18.
Yep.
Definitely turned the corner and definitely continuing that trend.
We're the number 1 defensive ranked team in the NBA. And finally, we can tip our hat to something. The Celtics finally have an identity. It's not even on the offensive end. It's on defense. We're a defensive juggernaut. From 1 through 5, we lock motherfuckers down. It's streets on lock with this squad.
Yeah, our starting lineup does great. Like, no matter who we switch on, for the most part, we can match up very well.
Absolutely.
Even with Al Horford, having to switch onto their whoever their point guard is. You got
nothing.
Robert Williams in the paint.
No
willing
problem.
to back him up. So
it's been great to see.
I was also going to say, when you mentioned the Celtics, that's some deja vu to the 2008 Celtics, who, as we know, were a defensive first team. And as we also know, defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
So
yes, it does.
Definitely a good place to be. Definitely an encouraging sight as a Celtics fan.
It is. And we're peaking at the right time. It's during that last stretch in the season where you want to get all your horses healthy, get the gears rolling. This is the make it break it sort of period. You have teams like the Brooklyn Nets who are still missing a player or two, and it's affecting them. They're falling down in the standings. Meanwhile, just talking about other teams real quick, if you look at a team like Dallas, they're climbing up in the standings. Memphis has been a strong team the last 2 months. Phoenix has been strong all year. Golden State, they're missing Draymond, so they're still a strong team, but they're sort of fluctuating at the same time.
A little teetering.
Yeah, a little bit of teetering. And then you got the Lakers, which I fucking absolutely love. They are just shitting bricks now.
We can bring up the Lakers once we open up to the NBA as a whole.
Yeah.
Because that is an interesting topic, and
Very.
As you said, as a Celtics fan, a great feeling.
It is an absolutely great feeling.
But, continue. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to add a quick little side note. Like I have my disdain towards LeBron. That's just as a player, being a Celtics fan, all that type of shit, just the past rivalry and all that kind of stuff. But as a player, I as a human being, I respect him tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this past year, I don't think I've liked more posts this year than any other year than this year when it comes to LeBron, what he's up to, what he's doing. Like, I love all the I don't know if you noticed them on social media, but like he'll do something and then you'll see a comment like "la" and then followed by something else. Like if like when he got caught with that in that sus moment with Avery Bradley.
Okay.
It'll be like "la" and then something else followed after it.
Gotcha.
Like, them motherfuckers have been rolling with that shit all year. Some of them are pretty funny.
I'll have to pay attention because I haven't seen that meme. But
did you see the meme where LeBron's going down the elevator with these 2 girls chasing behind him?
Yeah. I did see that one.
One of the funniest comments I saw was "evasive." Well, shit like that, like people are just having a field day with it. But,
Gotcha.
But fuck the Lakers though.
But let's get into this past week's roundup of games. Did anything stand out to you, Marvin? Like you said, we did go 4-1. as always, you can't complain with that, but there might be a couple things here and there throughout the games that you liked, that you didn't like. Anything stand out to you?
Like I mentioned earlier, what I like the most is the fact that we can finally tip our hat to the Celtics having an identity, which is defense. We saw that the last couple games. Now, granted, we did lose against the Pacers.
Yes.
Against the Pacers.
And shout out Halliburton, because he is quite the player, and if you watch that game, you can definitely tell that he's got something there.
It's funny because looking at him just as an individual, you just think he's another average player, but he that boy can play.
For sure. That is someone to watch out for. I think there was a rumor at one point that the Celtics were looking to trade for him. Granted, I didn't think that ever had much traction.
That would have been,
but that would have been definitely a nice addition.
It would have involved Marcus Smart.
Yeah, and I can see that.
The way Smart's playing, he's doing what Halliburton pretty much. We needed a facilitator, and Smart's doing that. So I will give Smart all the credit in the world for that. He has improved a lot. But if we're talking about other players to watch out for, Ja Morant's that nigga. He's that AI of the current generation of players. Gotcha. Like he's got swagger. Like I love watching him play. He's got swag.
I will say when we played the Grizzlies the other day, I think it was Thursday? When we played the Grizzlies on Thursday, I will say however many points he had, I can take a real...
He had 37.
37?
37, 38, because Tatum had 36.
Let's see. Yeah, 38 points.
Yeah.
So I will say that was... And I think Ime might have said this, but I agreed. It was the quietest 38 points I've ever witnessed.
Right.
I watched the game, and the whole time, yes, he's a good player, and you could definitely tell, but I was never worried. At no point in time did I think Ja Morant was
gonna go off
on us. Yeah.
Hey, low key, he did go off, but it's just we were able to neutralize everybody else.
Yes.
And that's perfectly fine. If we can go into the playoffs, because you already know teams like Brooklyn, you're not gonna stop KD or Kyrie every single possession. You might have one or two where you're like, oh shit, where did he miss? Oh shit, he missed again. But you're not going to stop him every possession. So the key is to make sure they get their empty stats. Let Kyrie get 26 points. Let Durant get 28 points. But the other parts the other stat line needs to be 0 assists, 2 assists type of shit where they're not getting the other players involved. Like you can watch them score all day. I'll as an opposing player, I'll watch KD just shoot buckets all day.
For sure, and like you said, the other stat lines have to be 0, or the other players have to have
zero contribution.
Yeah, because if you think about it, even if Kevin Durant has 50 points,
that's just 50.
If the rest of the starting lineup only has, obviously this wouldn't happen, but if they only have 10 points, they only have 60 points total. You know what I mean? That wins the game. So
empty calories right there.
Yeah, exactly. If the star player can go off, but you can handle everybody else and play your game, I think we'll be all right.
I agree. So that's where we mentioned that Ja Morant had the quietest 38 points. That's where I think the Celtics really had a part to play in that than Ja Morant.
For sure.
Play it or watch, absolutely. But yeah, my biggest takeaway is the fact that we can tip our hats to the defense.
For sure. I did want to shout out the Detroit Pistons because although we beat them, and let me take a look at the score here.
Detroit's low-key had our number.
That's what I was gonna say is we beat them 113 to 104, but that entire game, they for whatever reason, not even just this game. Let me correct myself. They always bring the energy. They always give us their best, and I think the Detroit Pistons aren't a good team, but I will say now that anytime their name comes up on the schedule, I'm at least looking out for them. They're always going to be that underdog team that will surprise us on an off night.
It's not an automatic dub for the Celtics. But you're right. They have given us trouble this year.
I think they were the team that beat us before the All-Star break, right?
Right.
We would have went into the All-Star break with a the win streak, and then we even won the 2 games after. So we would have been on a huge
That would have been a 12-13 game streak. We would have been riding heavy. That should have been nice.
For sure.
Now, Ball, I'm going to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway? Because in terms of negatives, I can't say too much on the negatives because everything's been positive. Before that, everything was negative, so I can't sit there and really point out a negative because it's more so just an issue that we've been having that we just need to resolve. Yeah,
and I want to speak on that for a second is, as Celtics fans, it's frustrating that it takes us until the All-Star break to get going, and
y'all rolled this blunt too tight.
Shout out Maverick Cannabis on that one. I did notice that. But in the beginning of the season, it was frustrating as a Celtics fan that we knew we were better than this. We knew we had talent, and exactly how we're playing, we were capable of the entire time.
Right.
It's just frustrating, and I think it's understandable that as Celtics fan, we let out some of that frustration with some of the things that we were talking about earlier, as far as like who we want to trade, what trades we should make. We even criticized Ime for a little bit.
Yep.
And I don't think we ever wanted to fire Ime, but I do think there were a couple times where some lineups were like, this is clearly isn't working. Why is some of the guys who are out there, why are they still out there?
Right.
So that's my only critique as far as where we are now. It's just like, come on, guys, we can't keep playing like this halfway through the season, 3/4 of the season. We have to, a good championship team just comes
all
right
the
out
way
the gate.
through.
Yeah.
Right. Like we should have been 27-2 to start the season.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like that type of momentum or wave. Like if you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, or I mean shit, in the West, if you look at Phoenix, if you look at those two teams for the whole year, yeah, they've sort of fluctuated a little bit, but the topic of conversation has always been teams that are going to make it to the finals. Milwaukee's been one of them. Phoenix has been one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been keeping it consistent for most of the year. And where they sit now, one team sits at number 1, the other team sits as like a 3 seed,
Right.
or 4 seed. But they're still consistently the top teams in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Celtics need to bring to the table. They need to be consistently good, not just, all right, yo, bro, it's January. Maybe we should start kicking it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Although, over the past couple
championship
seasons,
material.
Tatum does have the tendency to do that and take a couple months until he starts going, get going, and finally being the leader of the team that we need him to be, like the number 1 guy.
You think that's a light skin thing, or you think he just don't want it?
To be honest, there are times on that court, man, prior seasons and even earlier this season, where I'm like, you guys really don't want it. You really do not want to be out there playing basketball right now, even though you're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yep.
But aside from that critique, I do want to, say something to the Celtics fans, that we may lose games, and we are going to lose games from here on out until the playoffs start.
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be games, like there was against Indiana this past week, where we can't buy a bucket. Like, we are cold. Let me take a quick look. But against the Pacers,
yeah, there was a stretch where we weren't getting a single bucket.
Mm-hmm.
It was looking rough.
As a team, we shot 12 for 43 from threes.
Damn.
That's 27%. And then in general, just on regular field goals, we only shot 43%. So there are going to be nights where we can't buy a basket.
Right.
And unfortunately, the name of the game for basketball is make more baskets than your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't react too quickly. Like, yes, we lost 107 to 128. We lost by 21. So on paper, it's a bad loss.
Right.
There was a point where we were only down like 7, but losing by 21 on paper doesn't look good. But what I'm trying to say is we're gonna lose games, but we can't overreact. We played the best basketball we have in a long time in February. Losses are gonna happen. We just gotta keep playing. We just gotta keep this mentality.
Oh, facts. I mean, I'll be honest. I hit the panic button numerous times this year already, so I'm not gonna start hitting it now because we've been on a good stride. The time to hit the panic button happened months ago. Easy button, Staples. Like, I was pressing that button heavy. Now I stopped. Now I'm sort of just kicking it back and watching how things go.
So let me bring up that point to you, because you were on the side that the Celtics needed a big time trade this past trade deadline.
Right.
So you're kind of happy where we're at now. You're going to ride this team out. I know you were saying you're going to ride the team out, but anything less than a championship, not a championship, but going to the finals appearance.
I'm still firm on that.
You're still firm on that?
Still firm on that. If y'all think this is the squad, if you guys think this squad has what it takes, then prove me wrong. Because the moves that we made during the trade deadline were minor. I do love to pick up Derek White, but they're minor pickups. So.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but shout out Derek White. I think it was against the Hawks.
Yeah, with that comeback, he kept us in it.
Bench,
he kept us in it.
Derek White just went off like 9 straight points, maybe 7 straight points.
9 straight.
And that's the pickup we needed. We needed that kind of boost off the bench where if Tatum comes out, we don't have our star in, we have someone we can rely on for, like I said, a quick 9 points.
We need you to just heat up, buddy. But yeah, That was great to see. And I don't know if this means anything, but we also picked up Nick Stauskas
Yep.
for the rest of the season. He was going off in the G League, 47 points, 50 points, 55 points, something like that. He scored 100 points in the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that translates to about 1.3 points in the NBA. But I'm just kidding. But actually, that might be a low-key great pickup because he's a spot-up shooter. He can get buckets. That's one thing about him. He's always been able to get his own bucket, his own shots. So it's another Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward light.
I will say I thought it was a great pickup in the sense that we need shooters, or that's what I felt we need.
Veteran scorers.
And so for us to pick up, like you said, a good 3-point shooter and maker, that was a good pickup, and that's what we needed. But will he see the floor?
I think he will.
I felt like what's his name, Hauser? He's a good 3-point shooter, and when Aaron Naismith got injured it was against the Grizzlies, right?
Right.
When he got injured, I thought we were gonna see some Hauser that night, and
didn't see anything.
Floor. Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard ended up getting more burn.
Yeah.
I think damn, that's the first time I said today. Shit, I was trying to break that. But I think fucking that's better. I think that Stauskas will sort of play that role Jabari Parker played when he was on the squad, where he'll get a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, especially
just random minutes, like just to spark off the bench.
Right, random fill-in minutes, unless he really shows something during practice. Then they might just sort of above in the starting rotation, because I can see him sort of taking Pritchard's minutes for a little bit, definitely taking Naismith's minutes at this point. He's definitely taking Naismith's minutes, so he'll get some burn. We will see him on the court.
Okay, that's fair, and I hope so. Let me bring up that point to you. How do you feel about Aaron Naismith? Are you starting to give up on him? Are you willing to give him another full run? Because this is technically like his first full run out of season. Yeah. So Are you going to give him another?
I'll give him another year.
You give him another year?
Yeah, but he's had just small spurts of all right, Naismith, which ain't much. I've seen more improvement or more upside in Pritchard this year than I have in Naismith. I see Pritchard play sometimes, and I tell myself, okay, off the bench, if he was a six man, that he can be a viable option if he just sort of, once he really starts to get it and become comfortable on the court. But for that to happen, you have to let him play.
And you're talking about Pritchard?
Pritchard, yeah.
Okay.
Naismith, if his shot ain't going down, he will hustle on defense. But if his shot really ain't going down, then
what is he? Because to your point right there is if he can play lockdown defense, that's great. But if his shot isn't falling, we don't necessarily need him on defense if we have Derek White and Marcus Smart on the floor at the same time. Exactly. You know, imagine Tatum and Brown, like they're all really good defenders. So we need Aaron Naismith to be able to hit the shot, not necessarily play defense. Right.
That's that one instance where defense ain't gonna get you anything on the court. It's like, all right, what else can you do though?
Yeah.
Because when they brought you on with the assumption that, this dude's going to get you buckets. Like, he can hit threes, spot up, shooter, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The defense was supposed to be secondary. It's amazing that you've been working on your defense, that you've become a good defender. But for the shooting to sacrifice in the process, then you're still only taking 2 steps back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, work on that for sure. Or the confidence, at least. I don't know.
For sure. Good point. I think Aaron Naismith, if you don't follow us on Instagram already, definitely follow at @the_greenteamers_podcast.
Yeah.
I'm good on this. You good on this?
I'm good.
But if you don't follow us on Instagram, definitely do, because I actually posted that Aaron Naismith was starting, and I'm looking for something out of him. Like, I'm hoping for a good game from him, and then he got injured.
3 minutes in?
Yeah. So follow us on Instagram, because we definitely post during the game, give our takes on it, give our reflections on it, day of. So definitely follow us on there. But transitioning over, Marvin.
Upcoming games.
Yeah. We have one less game to talk about this week, just because, like we said, today is Saturday versus Thursday. Mm-hmm. So we've already played one game that we would have talked about on Thursday.
Right.
But we play tomorrow, Sunday. We play the Brooklyn Nets, and then we play Charlotte on Wednesday. So just 2 games before the next podcast where we re-meet up. So only 2 games.
We play Brooklyn again?
Yeah.
Nigga.
This time at home, though,
So maybe a Kyrie appearance?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
Maybe Ben Simmons, too.
No. I think they ruled Ben Simmons out for at least March.
Oh, right. So that bitch can't play against Philly.
Yeah.
Pussy.
Hey, we knew that. We knew that. I didn't expect them.
Perfect. That works perfect for him. Yo, the NBA. Yo, wait till the collective bargaining agreement comes through again. These players, they're fucking it up for the future talent coming in.
You think they'll include something in there like you have to play?
Yeah, they're gonna throw
games.
They're gonna throw a bunch of bullshit in there. They're gonna change the percentage deals on what the players get versus the owners.
Probably more incentivized. You gotta play a certain number of games type thing. Or...
Yep. I think max contracts are gonna diminish. Like instead of getting like those $50 million deals that these players are getting now, you might see sort of a curve or some sort of just period of stagnation to where it stays at 50 million. Like it doesn't keep creeping higher than that. It's not gonna keep going higher up than that because 8 years ago, max contract was like 25 million.
Yeah.
Now they've doubled that. That's insane. But those players were actually working for it, like playing hard towards it. If you're gonna sit there and take days off, as an owner, I'm not trying to put money in your pocket if you ain't doing shit.
Yeah, so. And it also just puts you in a tough position, 3 years into that contract. Because look at Russell Westbrook now; he's making what, at least 50 mil,
50 mil a year, right?
And
John Wall he can't even play, and the team can't even trade him.
Yeah,
so
like the Lakers were looking to trade Russell Westbrook, and they can't. Nobody wants him for that much money, and nobody can take him for that much money. So.
This is the last year of the contract. He's got one more year left.
He has one more year.
Oh, goddamn.
But just give me your final take on the schedule, the 2 games, Brooklyn, Charlotte. What are you thinking?
I think Brooklyn will be a dub. Even if Kyrie plays, I think Brooklyn will be a dub. That'll be a fun game if KD and Kyrie play. I think that game will be a must-watch. I think it will still win. It'll be close, but I think we'll still come out with a victory. Charlotte, I think we'll lose. It'll come down to the wire. Charlotte's a fun team to watch. I think that game will sort of be a little tricky. Is it a home game or are they?
It's an away game
against Charlotte. In Charlotte, yeah, that's going. Charlotte might win that one. We're gonna finish 1-1.
Gotcha. I think I wanna say 2-0. I wanna say 2-0, but I think Brooklyn might give us a run for our money. I think they might show up tomorrow. It's a 1:00 game, so yes, it's the Brooklyn Nets, but it's like a Sunday afternoon. It's kind of what's the word, lackadaisical?
Sunday matinee.
Yeah, so I think Brooklyn might edge us out. Yeah, I think they might come to win. So I'm gonna go 1-1, lose to Brooklyn, beat Charlotte.
Okay, yeah. I'm the opposite, so 1-1 regardless.
Yeah. And before we wrap this up, Marvin, any NBA news? You want to talk about LeBron James and the Lakers and?
Yeah, Lakers have been trash this year.
Why we're happy and that they suck. Philly's looking scary. I will say that.
Philly's looking the way they should look, especially with James Harden now. We thought Brooklyn was going to be the team to watch. They haven't even. Ben Simmons hasn't even scratched the floor yet. James Harden and Embiid, they're not even locked in yet, in sync yet, chemistry-wise. And what they're showing us, it's going to be a problem for the Celtics, especially because we talked about it earlier. Empty calories, empty stats when a player is able to just drop 50, but the others can't contribute. But when those two players both can control the inside and outside, that's a different story. Because now you got a player like Embiid who can. You can't double team. You can't double team him because if you double team him, that leaves another player open.
Right.
And if they kick the ball out around, that eventually is going to find James Harden again.
That's what I was going to say is you can't double team Embiid, but you have to double team Embiid,
Right.
So you're right. I think because both of their strengths just play so well against each other, like you said, if you feed Embiid the paint, you attract people to the paint, kick it out to James Harden, easy 3.
You kick it to 3 other players, that ball's going to find Harden again.
If you kick it out to James Harden, you would take people out of the paint. You just feed that to Embiid one-on-one against a smaller player. Easy layup, easy dunk.
That's gonna be tricky. And then you have sleepers like Tobias Harris who can still get you buckets. So don't sleep on him.
I don't know how much he's making. I think it's a bad contract technically, but I think
he's definitely in the 30 mil range.
Is he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is a little bit more than he's worth, but I will say I think he's a good player.
He's a solid third option, and he's fitting that role perfectly.
So like I said, not worth the money, but definitely a third. I'd take him off the bench.
Celtics, Sixers, Eastern Conference Finals.
Scary, man.
Scary. Our path in the playoffs might run through some crazy teams. Like we might have to go through the gauntlet. We might go through a scenario where we play Miami in the first round, Milwaukee in the second round, and then like the 3 toughest teams. Like it might even be Brooklyn in the second round, Miami in the first round, and then Philly or Milwaukee in the last round. Like all our past rivals, we're gonna see them all in this one playoff series. If we can make it that far. If we go through the gauntlet, we're gonna see all our past nemesis.
Well, if that was our path to the championship and we won, I don't think anyone's denying like Tatum's an all-star, superstar. Jalen is a superstar. Like that would be an amazing run.
That would be probably one of the hardest won championships.
Yeah, agreed.
Well-deserved championship at that point. But yeah, fuck the Lakers.
Let them watch out for the
collapse.
76ers, but fuck them as well.
Yeah.
This has been the Green Teamers podcast, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Catch y'all next week.
Part 2, baby.
Peace.